Okay. Okay, so where to begin? Where to begin with all of this? I will say, for story, I was a bit sparse after you finally got over here, but ultimately, not too much I can comment on, especially when it was a pretty good way of doing a climax. It wasn't drawn out in any way. So with the story, I don't really have an issue because it follows basically usually the power trip bit where this is the belly of the whale or belly of the beast or whatever. You're as close as to your enemy as you can be, and therefore you need to work fast. Having anything drawn out would be, quite frankly, silly. However, where I do start to find and take issues are with the resource distribution, as it seems like most weapons get ammo at the same rate from every enemy or every drop off, like the ammo crates. 8 buckshots, not too bad. Let's see if these will also drop. 40-50 BMG, that's a bit heavy considering that's a single mag. That's several magazines. I'll just do it. But usually that will also extend to giving me like 12 high explosive dual purpose round, 48 millimeter or 84, sorry, Danish. But when you get 12 of these, then you might think, yeah, that's fine for 50 of these. Not even remotely. The ammo imbalance is way off the charts, with single fire weapons getting way too much compared to what they can manage to put out. To the point where I have several thousand shotgun shells. At least I think maybe I moved them. Yeah, I moved them to somewhere else because they were cluttering up my inventory. Basically, all the ammo were. I think I am managing to reach 1,000 HEDP over there on my character that just picks up ammo. But also for an imbalance they really should have figured out and fixed before anything came of it was the fact that there's no longer a way to get explosives in the wild. And that might not seem like a big deal. But keep in mind that my explosive pile, since all of this started, might not have looked too different. I think it has maybe grown or shrunk with about 100 at most. This has at least grown with several thousands. The disparity of weight is completely fucking ridiculous. And even worse when you account for something like lead. By the way, this is the most common drop item because it is dropped by 2 enemies, and it is and it is gained on the most common enemy. Furthermore, it is used for ammo that isn't usually all-purpose, unless you're using weapons that generally don't use those. Okay, just to paint a picture, we go into ammo. How many of these would you presume require explosives? That's right, all bar like 2. The rest requires steel, of course in a greater amount, but that is not. Some of them require steel, of course in a greater amount, but that is not 8 times higher than that. That is a good, that's not, actually it's 2 times, sorry. That's not 2 times higher than that, that's a factor of, I don't even. Actually I think that's a factor of 8 if I understand factors correctly. This here is much more manageable, but even then this is about twice as much as I have of this. And remember, I have not really gained any of those. So what ammo you would make would be made from basically ammo you've already gotten or just the loose explosives, but still, you can't make this without sacrificing explosives, so finding it doesn't really change anything. The only thing I can think of that would even give you an explosive that wouldn't already put you in, I would almost say, detriment with stuff you need to make ammo with, is these resistance flare arrows, and I think that's an oversight. So yeah, the resource economy and how much you would make from it would definitely tend towards you're gonna drop off a lot of steel and lead, but also the current ammo drop method is very, very restrictive. For example, I have a fuckload of buckshot. And yes, I'm using the very unprofessional term there because I don't really think I need to censor myself. I have a lot of buckshot, and I actually started before all of this to not use slugs, but I still saved them. I think I need to go on my other character just to paint a picture of it. Because I think after the update dropped, I've maybe played like, let's just go high and say I played like 20 hours or something like that. Don't know. I don't know if that's too much. But I'm also just I'm putting out an idea. I don't need exact numbers for this. If we go on this beast that I have filled up to the absolute brim with random stuff. Where do we have them? Slugs. That I didn't use for quite a while still active. Are far, far beaten out by buckshot. And I don't even know if I have any. I don't even know if I have any birdshot. I think I might have spent it all. Even then, most of these, I think I had maybe 300 before the update. Or maybe we'll go really high and say it was in the 3 digits. That means it has close to doubled just over this time. What is the disparity between 50 caliber BMG ammo piercing and full metal jacket? Who knows? It's still a bit alarming. And it's not because I haven't used it, as I was pretty indifferent to it, but the ammo differentiation has been just growing wide, where one kind of ammo just becomes what you use, and that is still forced by the game, which I find problematic, to use the best word I can, because that means that your machine guns or whatever is chambered in basically anything. Your shotguns will always use buckshot. Is there something else you would like to try? Well, fuck you have to make it. This will always use HEDP, but what if you want smoke? Well, you have to go out and kill a tank to get it, and you have to sacrifice explosives for it, so now you're standing with either steel or lead. And that depends on what you broke down, because apparently the Panzerbandsgewehr, the best weapon for long range, is always gonna be favoring ammo piercing. There is no all-rounder round on it. And I get that from a perspective of, well, otherwise this would be the only thing creating steel. But I don't think steel is gonna be something you're missing. I know it's gonna be useful for bases, but also are these refined alloys. I can just say that of all the others, I wish you could do something with steel, especially given the look of the scrap metal it is. That's just me being an industrial technician. But that is the first issue. Also, from a personal note, I just found it funny to randomly reload. But from another perspective, the base defense. I'm not gonna show it. If ever requested to, I will find timestamps for the videos where it was proven. But here, up here in a normal, because it aggroed so many enemies, the fact that an apocalypse class, actually it wasn't an easy defense, an apocalypse class started sending in apocalypse hunters to go at me in an easy setup, because it just seemed to aggro in a bubble. And if there is something that could aggro, it will aggro. But, and more interestingly, at least in my opinion, it also seems to spawn in specific enemies at, I believe, a longer range. Again, I am not a coder for this. I have not looked into the code. I've worked 1 year as an untrained programmer. But also with this, I believe it was over in the tree line over here, maybe. It had spawned a harvester that just constantly sent in hunters long after I was quote-unquote finished with the setup. Same or finished with the harvesting of the special resources that you now need to trigger the base defense. Same with here, where I believe I never went out and checked it specifically, but I saw them pass this line, and I saw drop pods fall down around here, meaning that there was just a harvester standing out here trying to attack me with my resource set up here. As for workaround to a way to constantly put pressure on the player, I can see it working out, but just from being the player, please find a better way to do this. If you ever come across this, hopefully you will. Those only go for easy and medium. Hard was... there is something to it, but overall I liked it a lot more because those are not enemies that can spawn infinitely. Well, in a sense they can, but not to the same extent and mass as the harvesters. Because they just send in from the Soviets, which I can also see from a design perspective makes it an easy way to fight Soviet machines. And yeah, there is a reason for that, as the Wolf is the only one that's gonna drop titanium. The Firebird will drop rubber, and the Lynx will drop electrolytes, making access to those resources pretty easy. However, Firebirds will still commence their bombing runs, meaning that if they just decide to drop something that you can't even deflect or defend for, they will rip up half of your body and half of the base without any sort of intervention from your part, because you cannot, in any reasonable fashion, make sure that they're taken down before they just finish the bombing run, as well as the bombing run maybe being halfway through. Marking, basically what I would suggest is that you add a progress meter for when resources are finished, as they will always give little hints here and there or set out in little bits. With the furnace, you would make a heat meter so people can better prepare when it's overheating, and not have something here that could potentially overheat while there's just something out here constantly dropping at them, and they kind of have to go by feeling of when it's gonna finish. Otherwise, they'll lose. Actually, they will outright lose resources they have fought for. So adding progress meters would be a definite thing, I would say. Also, with the enemies that are spawned in, at least those that are greater. I know that up here, and I think over here also, I got tanks during the defense missions. And those have always been a thing, so I don't really mind them. But those and harvesters for the easy and medium should be tagged with a kill icon to let you know that those are those you have to focus on. And over here, the firebirds and wolves should, or not over here, on the heart, firebirds and wolves should be marked with the same kill marker. And also just not make it a general active, not make it a general aggro range would help a lot. Given that you can't really tell what the hell you're doing. I need to return to the ammo thing. I missed something. I'm scatterbrained about this. I'm kind of improving. But I think that would be the best way to do it. I would say the idea that you have to constantly pick up the resources they give you is kind of annoying, as I've gotten it stuck in buildings here, and over here they also just closed afterwards, so I had to remove the structure. Actually, the drills and the chemical lab, you have to remove the structures in order to get them. The only place they didn't get stuck was actually in the furnace. So just add them directly to the crafting inventory would be better, even if it's overstacking. As for the ammo, the way I would solve it is basically go back to how it was before, as I've talked about this with, first off, the ammo crates would actually have explosives inside them, which would mean that you have the explosives to make your own ammo consistently. As I'm pretty sure that if I go through the game, I would never get any natural explosives, unless, of course, I take out these and I do the weekly challenges. And that should not be what you depend on, because you will as well get resources of the other type, so there's not really any free room where getting it from the explosive crate or ammo crates will always just give you something to use for yourself. But make the ammo so it leans in the direction of giving you something you generally are able to use. Again, I would rather get a hodgepodge and then sort it out, rather than getting something very, very focused that I might not want. As well as, now you have to actually carry a weapon on you just to be able to potentially use it in the future, where before that was a benefit. Meaning you could still run around and get a lot of weird ammo, but it would lean, and by that I mean that I had observed that if you got a weapon, and this might not be in the code, or maybe it's just me finding it serendipitously, but it would give you a greater amount of ammo for the weapon you wanted, and it would make that ammo spawn more frequently. Basically, just giving that to the robots would be much, much better, because then you might find 1,000 of an ammo type you're not using if it's for fully automatic weapon, but you still have that ammo in case you figure out, hey, I actually want to use the M16, but for now I have to figure out that I want to switch way before I'm able to switch. And I don't think that is good, because then I figure out, hey, I want to use this grenade rifle, better run around with it on my back for like half an hour or something. That should be the basis and the ammo situation, at least what I'm thinking of. Oh yeah, the thing with the general... I think generally with the new resources, make them obtainable without having to do the base defenses. Because they won't be required for recipes that has always been in there. But if you scrap those same items, you will not get them back. Oh, I don't have any experimental weapons to show that off. But as far as I know, they will not give any explosive. They will only give. Actually, I can test that. But as far as I know, they will only give explosives and steel. They will not give the refined alloy. Before, when they did that with uranium, that was fine because you can get uranium from either the tyrants, or you can just level up. And since there's no real level cap, you're gonna have plenty of uranium, and especially for such niche ammo. But you're not gonna have any EMP unless you start breaking up stuff and making them. And if you have to break up something to get a specific ammo type for, if you have to go more out of your way to get ammo type and get an ammo type, you're less likely to use it. Maybe that's what you wanted, but you also made something like smoke way, way less applicable. And I'm trying to talk directly to the devs here. My final issue, and that's more just a personal note, on I think it's my popular saying, the vulture is cheating with the flamethrower, where I will take it in actually starting to sidetrack in its run after me, making it impossible for me to actually get out of the way before it just douses me with the flamethrower. Where I was under the impression that the bombing runs that all Firebirds make is to just go in a straight line. I'm not sure what that is about, but even that's a more of a nitpick thing. Overall, I will say that this final update has gotten a lot of growing pains. But I can still see the gem of the game in there. And I really hope that it becomes what it was. Or not specifically what it was, but something that I will play for a long, long time after all of this. Regardless, to whomever hears this, thank you for listening, and have a nice day. Stay safe. Over and out.